High level, what are the things that you should know? Is it open? Oh, okay, it's open. So in here, there's an app.xaml, which you guys know. You can put your variables in here so you can access from anywhere. So what I have here is the same thing. I just plugged in the parse client.initialize in there. This connects your application to Parse, right? So it's your way of identifying that this application is the Chris Geek app that I will be using, right? The second part, if you go back to the quick start, oops, wrong window. So after that initialize, there's this number 4. It's like a hello world. How do you test that your application is actually connected to Parse? So you just plunk this in. We'll explore this in a bit, but basically this is your simplest hello world. You're creating an object in Parse. It is as if you are creating a row of line in a database, right? But in this case, you're treating it as an object. And you don't think in database terms because you're actually just playing with your source code right here. Right? So going back here, I just plunked that line over right here. So it's here. I actually, they missed one part. You should add this async thing there. In your template, you don't have that, so they missed that. I'm going to tell them, hey, there should be an async there because they're using an async method. So what's going to happen here is it's just going to create a foo bar object. Right? So a foo with the column name and then a bar as a value. So I'm not going to run that right now. Let's just try test, right? So this test is going to go back to the Parse database and it's going to tell you there's no data yet. Because if you go to the dashboard, let me open this in another window. You have this sort of like database view. Let me look at data browser. Telling you that you haven't really created anything yet because you didn't run the application yet. Now, if I were to run this application, so what's going to happen is it's going to execute those lines of code, the initialize and then the creating the object, and it's going to say you're all set to Parse. And that's pretty much it. That means your application is connected to Parse. So I'm just going to stop this and then go back here and refresh this. Actually, it refresh itself, but I don't want to wait for that, so I'm just going to F5 this, and it's going to have, you see there's a test object with a foo bar in it. In my case, I named it play. Okay? So this could be a game object, score object. You know, every time you instantiate an object, it's just going to create an array of objects right here. And you can easily query them using link, or whatever your preferred mode of querying those objects are. Now, this is a good example, but it's not really useful for you because it's just creating an object, right? So what I discussed earlier was how would you create a user registration? So I actually have an example here. Let me just close this and go back to the quick start page. So let me dive into the documentation just to show you how ridiculously easy it is to create a registration infrastructure for your application. This is the Windows guide, and then there's a users. As you can see, it's not limited to users. You have object queries, you have Facebook integration, you have geopoints for those who are creating GPS, geolocation-based applications. So in here you see signing up. This is pretty much it. This is creating a new Parse user object with some attributes, name, password. You can even delete email here, and you can even delete phone. But that means you can add new attributes. That's it. So let me open up my source code showing you how this works. Parse user example. Hopefully it's going to be quick. My machine's not that fast, but hope I'm making the point across. This is going to be the example, and this is how you register a user. So I'm just going to run this so you know how it looks like, which is kind of funny because I'm not a UI developer, and took a while, so it's building. Okay, and this is probably the ugliest login form that, oh, it's not even aligned, that you'd ever seen. It's supposed to be in here, but anyway, if I type in, let's say Chris, and password is something, if I click login, it's not going to log me in because there's no such user yet, right? But if I click register, so it's supposed to say success. That should say success. You can't see it. So what's happening here? If I stop this, if I go back to my dashboard, what should I see? Right. So how many lines of code to create a user registration thingy? So I have here a user. I have Chris. So I didn't even have to run my own database, do any cloud instantiation stuff. I just had to run a few lines of code and I have this user registration part, right? Obviously, it's not just registration, you have login. So let me show you the documentation for that. So this is the registration log, this is like 6 lines of code, 4, give or take. Logging in is even ridiculously easy, 1 line. You have a try catch. Obviously, if there's no such user, then you're gonna get an exception, and that's where you handle, okay, there's no such user and stuff. But basically, this is it. This is logging in the user, which we just did in this example right here. Yeah, so I have that same example right here, login button. So I'll be sharing this source code after. I don't have slides, but what I'll do is I'll build one slide with all the links to these source code and maybe some references to Parse, right? So it's not the only thing you can do. It's not just user registration. They actually have a sample code that you can download on their site. Let me just go down here. I think there's a sample apps. And they're currently building their list of Windows 8 sample apps. Most of these are iPhone, and I doubt you guys would want to go there. They have a Parse to-do list, which you can take and basically build on top of. If you're a copy-paste developer like me, I'm just going to change the Parse to-do list to Chris to-do list, and it's my application. So going back to that, let me just open that application right here and just to show you what it looks like. Any questions so far? So did you guys start rolling out your user registration and felt sorry that, oh shit, I should have done that, but you can still start. So let's open this Parse to do sample application. And it's actually quite nice. Yeah, so I add code, WOWZAPP, very useful, save. And it's the same thing. So I'm simply saving this, and this is an object. It's a to-do list object, and you have certain attributes like title, description, and stuff. So if I go back to my dashboard, let's just stop this for a while, and go back to my dashboard. I'm gonna have that to-do list object on the left side, right? Yeah, you have a to-do item, and then you have description, title, created that, updated that, so you know, usual stuff. So in a matter of minutes, you can easily create or roll out your own object-based kind of application, which usually you would do on the server side. So most developers do this if you're supporting different clients. Let's say you have an HTML5 application, and then you have a Windows 8 XAML application, and then you have an iPhone, Android. Instead of building separate, applications for them, you can simply use this, and all of them talking on the same Parse cloud. Okay. Now there are instances where you would want to code on the server side still, right? So they have this thing called Parse Cloud Code, and I'm not going to go through this, but I want you guys just to know so that you're aware. Let's say you need to build some customized server-side app code. Sorry, not this. This is integration with other startups called Twilio. So you have cloud code right here. And what this does, and maybe just to give you a scenario, let's say you're doing a field validation for your applications, and you're supporting Android, iPhone, Windows Phone, Windows 8 application. If you code that on the client side, field validation, let's say the email address is incorrect. Normally you would do that on the application. You do have checks on the field for iPhone, checks on the field for Windows Phone, and then for Windows 8. If you just put that source code up on a cloud, you could have those applications talking to the single point of entry for field validation. And that's where you can use cloud code. Okay, so just in case you're thinking about those scenarios. Okay, was that useful?
Any questions?
Or you're all sleepy?
Has anybody started building this on their own? I mean, your own user registration and all this? No.
So I'm particularly interested with the GPS, geolocation stuff. So there's a geo object, and if you're building geolocation-based applications, which I think most of you will.
Yeah, I know. Somebody's making a bike app. Where's that guy?
Yeah. So you might want to check out the geo object and play with it. If you have any questions.
Is this free?
Okay, good question. Is this free? It is free to a certain extent, which is much more than you can consume, right? So it's like 1 million API requests per month, which for this WOWZAPP hackathon is much more. So this is how they make money, okay? But in your case, if this is something or a business that you eventually are thinking of rolling out, then if you grow and then you get like 15 million users, API requests per month, then you'll have to pay just $199. But I doubt everyone will. I mean, I challenge you to reach 15 million API requests.
That's per month.
Per month, yes.
It will renew every month.
I think so. Yeah. But there's a 30-day free trial. So, yeah. Cool.
Any questions about Parse? No? So Chris
Okay.
will put this on the Facebook group.
Yeah,
So,
I'll put it up. I'll put a slide. Yes?
Can you pass the send notification from one user to another user?
Notification. Yes, I'm glad you asked that, because there is actually a Parse notification service. There are actually a bunch of, I'm not using any files. So you see there's a push notification usage, which I haven't used. But you can use that if you're doing push. But I believe Windows 8 has its own push notification service, if I'm not mistaken. But if you want to use this, if you're doing push notifications across different devices, like Windows Phone, Windows 8, maybe HTML applications, then you can use this. Yes? Sorry, I can't hear you. I believe so, yes. I haven't tried, but let's try later. Both.
Try together.
Try together. Yeah, that's the idea, yes. Yeah, because you're just interfacing with Parse API. So to Parse, it doesn't matter if you're an iPhone or Android, as long as you're using the right library. Yeah, it's same with Windows Phone. So I think the push notification here is a poor man's push notification, meaning you have to have the app on the foreground to get that kind of notification. Not like if it's not on the foreground, then yeah, correct. But I would love to understand as well. So let me do some bit of research and Google and Bing, and then get back to you on that. Cool? Yes? Sorry, I still have one more service, so go ahead.
Still not yet?
Yeah. Good question. I haven't really checked. So you want a real-time interaction between applications? Yeah? Yeah, let me check. Maybe a side note. If you want to do that kind of real-time interaction, there's this other service called PubNub, also a startup based in San Francisco. PubNub is ridiculously easy. You set up a channel. Whatever you send to that channel is propagated across the different lines. So search PubNub if Parse doesn't, support. I'll check if it supports software, but I suggest PubNub for that. Cool. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Last one.
Does it perform the SQL server?
No. But sorry. Say that again.
Perform the SQL server.
Confirm.
Perform.
Perform.
Perform the SQL server.
When you say perform, can I do link queries on it? Is that a question?
SQL query.
Not sure. Link, yes. Which is pretty much like no, not really, but you can do link queries on it. Since it's a C# class object, you can. That's the preferred way of Parse querying the objects using link. Because every time you instantiate an object, it's just going to create an array. So let's say you have an array of scores, right? And you want to get the highest scores, you can do a link statement for querying all those. We show the 10 highest scores, and you can easily get that. Which you would not, yeah.
Does that allow you to make your custom table?
Custom
Database table.
Database.
Table.
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 Table, no. So that's the thing. Parse, it forces you to forget about database, right? Now you're thinking like a database guy. So with Parse, you're thinking about objects. So you create objects, and I'm showing you the dashboard so that you can see the data, but you shouldn't be thinking about it as a database. Yeah. So it's a kind of a mind shift thing. Yeah. There's actually a bunch of services doing it. Kinbase, Parse is just one of them. So, cool. Okay. Next service, Mashape, because I think I'm running out of time. Let me just close this. Remember the other service I mentioned is an API marketplace, and you should be listening to this because
the price.
There's a price for it. There's a service for you. So Mashape is sponsoring a Surface RT with touch cover. Actually, this is an empty box. This is the one with Surface. This is the one with the Surface.
The same.
It's the same.
It's the same.
It's the same. So they are sponsoring a Surface RT, this touch cover, white. No choice, just white. For you guys, if you're building your Windows 8 applications using Mashape APIs. So got your attention? Okay. So Mashape. Okay, Mashape. Mashape is a cloud API marketplace. Remember I mentioned earlier, if you're building your applications, you don't want to reinvent the wheel. You don't want to spend too much time searching for that barcode reader app or there's even a sentiment app. If you supply it with, there's an API for sentiment. If you give it enough text, it will tell you if that sentence is sad or happy. So that's crazy. But there's actually an application based on that. I'll show you in a bit. How it works is they have the site, go to mashape.com. If I want to search for the one that there's a porn filter API. So if you want is a porn filter API, you can use that. Yeah, I remember someone trying this, and then we were using our hands and see if it's gonna break or not. Anyway, so if I want to do, I want to use a word cloud, word tag API, and it's when you see the website, if it has a cloud tag on the right side, it shows you what are the most mentioned words in that website. Well, there's actually an API for that. You supply it with enough text, it's going to generate this cloud tag for you. Not really useful, but depending on how you think about your applications, this might end up being useful. This is the dashboard for this specific API, and each API will have the same look and feel for the dashboard. So Mashape has certain goals, one of which is to make it easier for you to digest these APIs. Because normally if you're accessing APIs, you go to the documentation, paragraph, read, how does this work, how to access. In here, you have one page it tells you this is the endpoint for this. It's gonna have a response, JSON response, and then there are parameters which you need to supply. That's it. And all APIs will have this format, which makes it easier for you to understand how to consume those APIs. You don't have to read a lot of documentation. Now let's try this. So height is gonna be 200. Text block is the text that you're supplying. So I'm not gonna put in a lot of text here. Let's just say hello world, hello, hello. And width is 300. Config is optional. Oh, I need to log in. Crap. Okay. I have another window right here. Yes, I'm logged in. So let's do that again. So I have the thing hello, 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 hello. So if I click on the test endpoint, it's even gonna give you a response status example, so you know how you would handle it in JSON. If I click on the test endpoint, an error occurred. Okay, I think there's something wrong with their server right now. I'm getting this quite a bit more recently, but you should be getting a response and a link. Let me try that again. That's weird. Okay, I'm gonna have to tell them about this. But anyway, it's gonna give you this similar response, and then I think this is just an example of a URL giving you the word cloud. I'm not sure if this even exists, but let's just try anyway. Yeah, it doesn't exist, but it's supposed to give you this image with your word cloud on it. Okay, so I'll get them to fix this. But basically, you know, you have a bunch of APIs. Like there's even this hackathon winner from Mashape. When I was there, they did a one-day hackathon, and the application is called tuner.io. Everyone seems to be appending an IO in their startup, even though it's not IO. So this is like, it's getting the APIs from Music Match and APIs for text sentiment, so that you can get the amount of songs containing profanity in the Billboard charts at that moment. So in here it's telling you there's 19 songs, there are 39 songs which has love in it, and then there's 6 positive songs. So this is the sentiment API, and then he's shaping it with a Music Match API. You can see here, so this is text processing and then Music Match. So you can search that on, if I search it here, Music Match, I think it's going to show up. Or music or something. Music, sorry. Yeah, Music Match, yeah. So you can even play it in Spotify, which unfortunately we don't have here in Singapore, but if you're somewhere where you can play that. And I told the guys who want this, can you just take the snippets where he's doing the profanity part? So it's gonna be a long song with all the profanity. So this is actually the winner. So they ran a hackathon. Let me show you the Facebook page for that. I was there. I did my own scrap application, which I can share with you later. Picture. Okay. Yeah, this is the winner, tuner.io. And I think this is the recap. They have a blog. And in one of those pictures, you'll probably see me. Yeah. But yeah, it's the same hackathon. They forked out $500 for this. And now they're running this Windows 8 contest for you guys. If you go to Mashape, I think I'm drunk in that picture. So you go to facebook.com/Mashape if you want to find out more about the contest. Actually, I have a source code, sorry. But it's not working right now because it's the same problem right here. If you go to my my poor and lowly WordPress site here, I put up a source code in GitHub that you can download, so you know how to access the Mashape APIs with this template. I tested it just a while ago. There's some error with certificates, so I'm gonna fix that and upload a new version. Okay, but I hope you guys would try out Mashape. And the contest is, if you click on this start icon right here, it's gonna take you to the contest details. So the contest ends November 30th. This is only open to Singapore, Malaysia, and Philippines. and the best Mashape Windows 8 application wins. So you don't have to constrain yourselves to finishing it today. You can actually submit it by
When?
November 30th. Then judging is first week of December. Okay. Cool. I actually have a Surface RT device right here if you want to play with it or test it out. Feel free to let me know if you have any questions. How come this is not loading?
So is Mashape free?
Yes, Mashape is mostly free, but like all startups, they have to make money. They get money from funding, but in this case, they're also trying to ramp up the number of APIs in their roster. So there are certain APIs which are, to some extent, free, and then they start charging. So this depends on the API provider. Okay, just to be clear, they're not hosting the APIs. Okay, they're just a directory. Yes, consolidate all those APIs. So if I were an API developer and I want developers to find out, other developers to find out about my APIs, I'm gonna put it up on Mashape. Okay. So I think Nishan has an API and he's going to upload that as well. But for you guys, if you want to just get started with APIs in your Windows 8 applications, you might want to give this a spin. And the contest page is not loading, but there's a registration link at the bottom so that we can contact you for updates on the contest. You have to register to be eligible for the contest, and you win a Surface. Let me just get my own Surface device here so you know what to say. It doesn't come with this plastic folder. I bought it for $2.
I think that's the most special.
Yeah. I heard you can turn this into a skateboard, so I didn't buy a cushion, and I want to show it off. So the best option I have was to buy this $2 plastic thing. So Surface, this is the white touch cover. If you want to try it out later, so it dismantles.
Yeah, we also have.
Throw, then it snaps like that. It's actually quite cool. I use it often, except when I'm coding, because I have to use a full-fledged PC for that. But you can do remote desktop. Yeah, but I'm not here to sell service, so you guys will do that. But I'm here to tell you about the contest. So go to facebook.com/Mashape, like our page, their page, then check out the contest details, and you'll have a shot at winning this Surface RT device, which is not retailing yet. When is it gonna retail? Just not sure, but you're gonna be one of the first to have this. Cool.
Any questions for Chris?
I think it's my fault.
I know some of you guys, before you do your app, please search it on Mashape, because maybe an existing API exists, so you don't have to waste your time. But yeah, any questions for Chris? Yes.
APIs for JavaScript. Yes, because you can access everything using REST. As long as you can REST from JavaScript, then you're good to go.
I guess for Mashape, since it's a directory, it will depend on the API provider. So I saw a while ago there's tons of
interfaces. Actually, okay, let's look at this. It's actually also a social. It's trying to be a Facebook for APIs. Because there's a follow API and all that, but it's not really that social at the moment. But each API will have a library you can download. Okay, my internet connection, yeah, it's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, it's okay. Anymore. But each one will have a PHP library, C#, Ruby on Rails, REST, Python, Objective-C for iPhone. Yeah.
Any more questions?
Are there any other questions about the price?
Price.
Really?
Questions to Chris.
Like, can I have a blue touch cover, or, not even?
It's too early. Still sleepy.
Too early?
So if you don't have any questions, I'm back.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Chris. So again, please, if you're developing an app, don't do it on your own, because now we have all these services that you can do. You can use Parse for user registration, email validation, and don't do that on your own. And again, search for an API, please, so that you don't waste time again. So Mashape is good for that. And Chris can help you answer questions on the Facebook group as well. So that's it. Before I end, and before you go back to work, me and Joyce will go around carrying the pig to ask what you guys are doing. So we just want to list down what apps are you doing, how we can help you, if you have any questions that you will post on Facebook. So basically, we just want to know what you guys are doing, and then that's it. So we ask Chris if you know if you have any questions. And if you guys want to play FIFA, we set up the Xbox outside. Please don't play too much because we want you guys to do your app. But if you want to take a break, yeah, take a break. You can play there. We only have one Xbox device, but there's 4 controllers, so you can play 4-player FIFA. You have Halo 4. You have Modern Warfare 3. But don't waste your time playing too much. Okay, so with that, we'll see you guys again for lunch. I'll be out soon. The next lightning talk will be here at 2 p.m. See you all.